Welcome back to Old School Eats. I am Derek Old School Fournier. I'm in the Meat Palace, and today we're going to do a quick video on something that may cause some upset. We're going to do deep fried ribs. Now, deep fried ribs are something I had ages ago. I grew up in an area called Polk County, Florida. There's a lot of Southern cooking. There was a great little restaurant called the Mulberry Restaurant out in South Lakeland, and they had deep fried ribs. If you've never had a deep fried rib, I don't recommend you eating them all the time, but they are delicious, and that's what the topic is today. We're going to do them two ways for you on Old School Eats. Today, like I mentioned, we're going to do some fried ribs. We've got fried ribs we're going to attempt two different ways. If you watched my previous rib video, you'll recall I did a video, and if I'm cool enough on this platform, I'll put a card up or something to link to my St. Louis rib video. And in that video, I did some of the prep for this. I took one of the 3 racks that came out of the Costco pack, and I cut it into individual pieces. I then, when I did the actual rib video, smoked, uncovered half of that rack as individual ribs. The thing I want to try here, because I've done these deep fried ribs before where I took them from raw all the way to deep fried, and they were really, really tasty. A little different texture than you get in a smoked rib, as you would imagine, but it's easy enough to take and temp them and make sure that they're cooked well enough. And again, they were very tasty, but they were a little bit more of a chew than probably you're used to. But I wanted to do sort of halfway smoked, got them up to about, I would guess they were about $1.65, somewhere around there. So they're really edible at this point. But I want to finish them in the fryer as well and see if I can get those layers of flavor. So that's what we're going to do here. I'm just going to do a basic flour with some seasoning, and I'm going to put in my flour, I'm going to use some Heath Riles pecan rub. I don't usually use this. It's got MSG in it. As I've mentioned on previous videos, my wife has a blood feud with MSG that I don't share, so she won't be eating these ribs. But we're going to just season up our flour, and then we're going to get I got my deep fryer going here, or my flash fryer going here, set to 360. It's getting up to temperature. Once it gets to temperature, we'll fry these off a couple at a time, checking the temp inside, looking for color cues, but then checking the temp, and then letting them drip out, and then giving them a try. We've got our single ribs here laid out. I've got 3, 6, 9, 11. I've got a Ziploc bag. I really need to get one of those cool Ziploc bag holder things, because I don't have one. But I want to pick some ribs out that are similarly sized, so they'll cook at about the same time. But I also want some that'll take on the smoke, because I'm going to put this set on when I cook the ribs in the other video where I smoke them my normal way. But I'm going to pull those off before they get wrapped, because I want to have them in the unwrapped portion to get some smoke on there, and then I want to finish them in the fryer. So these are going to be finished in the fryer. These are going to be on the fryer only. So I want to see what those two are like. So I'm going to throw these in the bag after I season them, and we will get to it. All right, we're going to season with my normal combination. I'm a huge Cosmo Q seasoning fan. I'm using their Killer Honey Bee. Then I go on with their Hot Dirty Bird, and then with their Dirty Bird. And you might have a problem with seasonings when you start buying them in bags like this. I haven't done the math. I'm going to assume that they're more economical when I do it this way. But I'm a little bit excited. And again, not sponsored by these guys. I use a lot of seasonings from a lot of different people. But there were 2 new ones in this package that I'm looking forward to trying. They've got a hot cow cover, which you know I use on my briskets. And then they've also got this new Honey Chipotle Killer Bee, which I bet is really, really good. So I'm going to give those a try and let you guys know what I think. But regardless, we're going to lay down our base layer of sweet. This one does, like any of the honey seasonings, sometimes cake up a little bit, which is frustrating. But I am down in Florida, and even in the house, humidity is a thing. I do try and get a decent cover, and I am going to put these back in the fridge to let this set. No, I do not use a binder. Nothing against binders. Again, I have very few blood feuds, to be honest, with anything. I think there's a bunch of great ways to do all of this stuff, and my way is just the way that I happen to do it. I know a lot of people will use mustard. Some people will use just water, which is also a path you can choose. I've seen Worcestershire. This new W sauce is all the rage, which I bought some of in my local Heights Market. But I have not had the chance to use yet. You guys may think that I'm going a little heavy with this seasoning, but I'm not. I know that Jeremy Yoder from Mad Scientist Barbecue, that's a great channel. I'm assuming if you're watching me, there's no way in hell I can think of you not watching some of these channels that really inspired me coming up, learning how to do this stuff. He is a huge fan of what he calls just salt and pepper ribs. And if I were doing that, I would probably not use the Costco ribs. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but I would go get some sort of a Duroc rib or a Prairie Fresh. My wife is the only one I've found so far who can actually taste the difference in those. And you can only really taste the difference, in my opinion, if you don't put a heavy amount of seasoning. You just do like a salt and pepper. Those guys are ready. Those are my deep fried ribs. They're going to get smoked with my other ribs. You will see that whole video separately. But they will then go into the deep fryer with the other ribs. All right, our oil is up almost to temperature. It's at 355 right now. It actually just beeped to let me know it's at temperature, so 360 degrees is what I'm choosing. I've got my flour here. I'm currently operating with only one camera because I'm a moron and didn't charge the other camera. And my eldest son really wanted to try these today, so I'm going to get them cooked. This is a fun channel, so we're not going to do over preparation. But I've got my flour here. Hopefully you guys can see this. The only thing I did with the flour, I seasoned it up with this Heath Riles pecan rub, as I mentioned. Neat thing about Heath's rubs, they're shakers. I don't know if you guys care about this, but instead of having the two different sides, it's a really nice shaker. See this in the video. You lift up this piece to get the heavier flow out of the shaker. It's really nice. I will be saving that. The other thing I did was I make sure to taste the flour. You need to taste your seasonings in the flour. Not aware of any problem with eating raw flour. I don't eat a spoonful of it. I just give it a little taste. I want to make sure I taste the seasoning. So now I'm going to get my ribs. We'll go from there. All right, so the first ribs are going to be the ones with no previous smoke. These are just raw St. Louis ribs cut into single rib pieces. I'm going to get these down in the flour, get them coated up. I'm not doing a multi-stage with a wet and a dry. My wife is Italian. On Christmas, we do the Festival of Nine Fishes. And my favorite batter process, though I know others may disagree, and I know there are tons of ways to do these things, is a dry flour-based rub on calamari. I think it's fantastic. I know for fish and for other ones, for chicken, certainly you do like egg wash first. Some people use buttermilk. Oh, and oil-wise, I'm just using Louisiana Southern Fry oil. It's a combination of vegetable peanut oil. Now, fun fact, or moderately interesting fact maybe, I prefer using lard, animal fats, but I don't have any on hand. When I do fish fries, that's my preference. So here we go. We've got these guys nice and coated. Letting that, show you what one of these guys looks like. Shake it off a little bit. We're going to take the lid off of here. My basket out. I'm going to go probably 2 at a time here to not overcrowd the oil. And they're pretty thick. Try and get ones that are about the same size. And they're going to go down to the oil. Give my basket a shake. Let them cook for a little while. Help if I put the basket on, the lid on properly. Now I've got my Thermapen here, and I'm going to be temping these guys. I'm going to look at color. I'm going to guess it's going to take about 5 minutes to get upwards of that 200 degree mark. Again, you can eat pork lower than that. It just becomes a little bit tougher. You can hear the magic happening in the fryer now. And when I take those off, I'm going to put them on a rack that I got over here, which my normal secondary camera would be capturing for you. But instead, I'll pick it up and show it to you. Again, because I'm a moron. Now, the very definition of trying to do too many things at once, I think these guys are about done. Let them drip for a second. Find my tongs. I think I actually have enough juice in the camera to get some decent B. Show you this camera. We'll put it over here for the B-roll, or for the alternate roll. I don't know what the right vernacular is, but those two look fantastic. As I was preparing for this other process, yeah, we got them about 197 internal, 199. That's where we wanted to be. Now this oil is going to get back to the temp that I want it. Let it recover, and then I will. One of the beauties about doing this stuff for fun is you can always make a game change. A couple things, it's funny, I watch Sam the Cooking Guy probably more than I should. I really enjoy his channel. If you haven't watched it, you should. He always laments the condition of having the lawn maintenance guys at his neighbor's house, and I have that right now. I don't know if you can hear it. Maybe the noise cancellation gets it out. But the first 2 ribs are about done. I'm going to temp them again. And I'm going to make a quick change. I'm going to do the next 2 with a multi-stage dip. So we're going to check these right now. See what they look like. They look great in the basket, which you of course can't see, but I'll have some B-roll at some point maybe. Give them a temp. Let's grab one of these out of here so you can see them. There you go. In case the B-roll is not something I can get for you later. It's interesting. So we're temping 143 inside. So we need to go a little bit further, obviously. It's not where we want it to be. We're going to put those back in there. And when those guys come out, I did bump the oil to about 375 rather than 360. I'm going to, through the magic of time lapse, put together some eggs. And I'm going to use the next one. I'm going to have a wetter batter with a dry, wet, dry dredge. We'll be right back. Move this out of the B-roll. With my wet and my dry. Grab that. Another benefit of cooking outside, you get the occasional drop in. Here we go. We've got them in the flour. Gonna get them a little roll. And yeah, I am aware you're supposed to try and keep one wet hand and one dry hand, and I do that also poorly, but we'll give it a shot. This guy over here. Get him some egg. We'll do the same breakdown with the ones that were previously smoked, just so there's some relative level of consistency in what I'm doing here today. But this is true experimentation. Hopefully this actually makes it to the YouTube video and I don't throw it in the trash as a failed experiment. I think it's kind of hard to screw up frying anything. If you have the advantage of having these little flash fryers, they certainly make the job a lot easier. But you don't need that. You could just as easily use a cast iron pan or something like that. All right, now we're gonna try and get these guys covered. This is the best way that I can do it. Get enough on there so that this hand doesn't become a wet hand as well. But I gotta sink out here anyway. What's the worst that can happen, really? Unfortunately, I don't have enough subscribers yet to give me hell about not having a glove on this hand. So we're not going to do a double. You'll see a lot of times people will, when they're doing fried chicken and stuff where they really want the craggly crust, also with fish. I suspect I've seen some great fish and chips videos where folks will go dry, wet, dry, and they'll do another pass at that. Not what I'm trying to do. Just trying to get a nice coating here. I want a little bit more coating than I had on those guys. I figured we'd give it a shot. So let's see. Our oil is where it needs to be. We'll drop these guys in. Basket out. This will invariably crud up the oil. More so than my previous move. But we'll get them down in there, give them a bath. Shake it around. I always shake it around to make sure they don't stick to each other. I'm not sure that that's a required step, but I do it. So we'll give these guys about the same amount of time. It took about 6 to 8 minutes to get to the internal we want to, and then we'll see where we're at. All right, we're gonna give this one a taste test. This is the non-seasoned, non-smoked, seasoned flour, no egg. Listen, you fry anything, and it's a win. Great chew. The coating is delicious. I get the pecan. And when you think about ribs, there's no prep. There's no 6 hours of cooking. Season them how you want. You could season underneath the flour if you wanted to. You could marinate them. Again, not something you do every day. But a really neat, as I continue to chow through this, really neat alternative rib treatment. Now that's the least interesting one that we're doing. In the oil right now, we've got the egg flour. That should provide more coating. I would assume more of that pecan rub's gonna come through, but we'll find out. All right, we're gonna take a look at these guys that were double dipped. Pull them out, let them drain for a second. Wow, they look fantastic. Definitely got the craggles that you want. See if we're getting anything in there. Do it over here. Let's check our temp. See where we're at. 175 on that one. You gotta make sure that you get into the actual meat. These are about done. These are done. I'm taking these out. These are fantastic looking. I'll put these over on this strip rack. Much more a fried look with the extra coating. We'll let those cool. Then we'll move over to our previously smoked ribs. Okay, I've got my previously smoked ribs here. These guys were put on my bark the other day when I did the St. Louis ribs video. So they've gotten up already to temperature. Really, we're just gonna take these to a really nice doneness. We're gonna do a couple the same way we did the first ones, where we're just gonna take them. Now they have a natural sort of moisture because of the seasoning. So they're getting an extra layer. I'm expecting these guys to have sort of a flavor bomb. It's not the same size. It's about the same size. Probably no real science to picking the ribs. You just want to pick ones that are going to cook at about the same pace. And again, these guys were already at edible temperature, so there's no risk of that. This is about wanting the crust to come at the same point. So we're going to get these guys in to our 375 degree oil. It should be. It is. It's good. And we're going to let them go until the crust looks the way I want. I'll temp them as well, but the temp again isn't as important. Now, the remainder of these, I've got 4 left. I'm going to do dry, wet, dry, and then we'll have all of our ribs available for inspection. I should give you guys a behind the scenes of me walking around this outdoor kitchen trying to make this stuff work. It's quite entertaining, and having to every once in a while grab some of the stuff that's coming out of my tree in here. But if you cook outside, you know this is what it's like. I'm going to give, in this clip, a quick taste to one of these deep fried guys. They're all deep fried. This is the double fried, or the double dipped. Oh. Holy crap. Okay, I was wrong. This is better. Could almost put more seasoning in the crust. But man, the tenderness, the moisture, the flavor. Oh, that's good. All right, let's check our guys here, which were in the smoker. Obviously, they're gonna have a much neater color. I'm gonna temp this guy, as I've mentioned now, probably way too many times. Temperature's not that big a deal for these guys. They were already edible. They're good to go. Actually, I'll use my tongs. Give you guys a view of those. That is a pretty looking rib. Give you a shot here. We'll set him over on the side. Let them drain. And then we're gonna go with the wet, dry, wet. Oh, sorry, dry, wet, dry. All right, as you can see, we're just getting the first level of dry over here. Doing my best to keep his hand not wet. The moisture from the ribs having been smoked yesterday, creating a little bit of a challenge, but we'll work through it. Not the end of the world. Not exactly an exact science anyway. Get these guys over there. And yes, I realize that I try and optimize too much real time. This is interesting. So this rib has a bend to it. Gonna need to get creative with how to get some egg on there. All these guys do. All right. I probably shouldn't have cheaped out with how many eggs I put in here. I only did 2 eggs. This guy's finally good. We'll get him over here, get him out of the way. As no surface outside is completely level. My egg is dripping towards the back. Get these little egg drip. And use gravity to my assistance. Apologize for the sweat that's probably coming off me right now. Again, we're down here in Florida, and this is Florida winter, you see. I'm not saying the climate's changing, I'm just saying it sure as hell isn't cool like it used to be when I grew up down here. But it is nice to be able to do this outside and not make the house smell like a deep fryer. Which, as much as I love fried food, having the house smell like a deep fryer, not a win. You can tell I'm getting to the end of the cook process because I'm way less concerned about how much mess I'm making. Got flour all over the damn counter here. But a small price to pay for what we're going to experience. All right, get these guys rolled around in the flour. Super scientific. I bet there's a really interesting experiment that could be done for the folks who really understand batters. Like I said, the folks I've watched do fried fish for fish and chips. I've seen a bunch of guys do work with that, and they put, like, they'll do a wet batter and they'll use vodka or an alcohol or something for their fluid, their liquid in the batter. Another byproduct of cooking where it's warm, your hands get wet with sweat. If you've ever tried to put one of these nitrile gloves on with a wet hand, you'll understand this frustration that I'm intentionally putting on camera because, again, I didn't see any of this stuff when I was learning how to do any of this stuff, and so I thought I was a weirdo. So, clean glove. These guys are ready. Oil's ready. Put these guys in here. Ideally not to crowd the basket too badly. And down they go. All right, so we're gonna do a taste test. This is one of the ribs that was smoked and then just used the flour-based coating. Color's fantastic. Looks great. Holy crap. It is obvious, it should have been obvious, there's going to be a lot more flavor here because these ribs had the 3 rubs that go on my normal ribs, and they had 3 hours of smoke roughly. So I think that a takeaway right now, and this is before I taste the ones with the crunchier batter, which I can only imagine is going to be almost religious. If you have the time, pulling out a rack or 2 of these and doing them like this is awesome. Totally different flavor, totally different experience. But if you didn't have the time and you wanted ribs, you could go ahead and knock those out. I'll probably cover a bunch of this in conclusion, but right now I'm enjoying this rib too much. Okay, we're gonna see what these guys look like. Very excited about them. I was thinking one of the takeaways so far is when you're doing this frying process, you know, we always try and take our ribs up. Well, we don't temp them, but you like them to be around 200, just like all the other meats, so they're nice and soft. I think you can get away a lot lower than that and have a better tenderness on the fried product. I'd love your opinions on that if you've done these things. Let's see what we got going on here. And once again, the appearance is just stupid with the multiple dips. I'm going to cheat, see if I can get a decent picture of that over here. They look just fantastic. Let me get a temp in here, just so I have an idea. That's the biggest one in there. Let me get one of these other littler guys. There we go. Yeah, the littler guys are done. I'm gonna let the big guy go a little bit more, but I'm gonna take the little guys out of here. They look awesome. They smell awesome. We'll give the big guy just a little bit more time. Put him back in his bath. Now, when it comes to oil, I'm not the expert here, but generally speaking, keep your oil temperature where it needs to be. If it gets too low, the food absorbs the oil, it gets greasy. If the oil is the proper temperature, then it's pulling the moisture, causing the steaming, and making all the magic happen of frying. So we'll give this guy another second, let these guys cool off so I can do our last taste test, and then we'll wrap things up. All right, here's our final taste test. These are the previously smoked wings that were then dry, wet, dry, battered, fried at 375 degrees. It looks fantastic. It is fantastic. I went on the bone side, try and get some of the actual rib. Okay, here are my takeaways. Ribs are awesome. Ribs are awesome almost any way you cook them. Almost everything deep fried is awesome. When you combine those two things, magic can happen. I'll do a video at some point of my smoked, then deep fried buffalo wings, which are also pretty stupendous, and I know a lot of you guys make wings like that. But if you've not done ribs like this, I highly encourage you to try it. What we've shown here today is there's a couple of ways you can do it. If you're in a hurry for ribs, you got hankering for ribs, as they would say, you can just cut those janks up, throw them in a dry batter, throw them in a deep fryer. Probably could do them in the air fryer. I've tried that, but I bet that would work. And they're really, really tasty, and it's a very different feel, different mouth feel, different experience. Still awesome, but different. But if you can do a little bit of extra work, and when you're cooking your ribs anyway, and I highly encourage you guys that are out there cooking on smokers, especially if you got bigger smokers, if you're gonna heat that son of a bitch up, take advantage of it. Get a vacuum sealer, learn how to freeze your stuff, and then bring it back. So if you just did some extra ribs, only in the uncovered stage, take it up to 160, 165, whatever, and then had them in the freezer. You defrost them. You can do this too, and it's just an awesome experience. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you're enjoying the channel. If you are, we would love to have you like and subscribe and click the bell and all those magical things that are apparently supposed to matter. Love to hear some comments. See if you guys have done these sorts of things and what your thoughts are. But I'm going to go eat these ribs for lunch, and I'll see you next time.